Hello, grade 4 students. How are you doing, miss? I hope you're all doing good and enjoying learning at home. Welcome to the second science lecture video. In this video, we'll be learning something new, but before we start, let's recap what we learned last time about trees, shrubs, and herbs, about cultivated and wild plants. What do you think? According to their sizes and to the type of their stems, plants are classified into three different groups or categories. Plants with a large size and with one woody stem called a trunk. Plants that are perennial, which means that they live more than 2 years, are classified as trees. So again, trees are plants with a large size, with one woody stem called a trunk, and these plants live for more than 2 years. Plants with a medium size, with many woody stems, and which are also perennial, are considered as shrubs. So shrubs are smaller than trees, they have a medium size, they have many woody stems, and they are perennial. Last group of plants is plants with small size, with green flexible stems, green flexible tender hollow stems. These plants aren't perennial. They don't live for a long time. And these plants are considered as herbs. I gave examples of herbs with large sizes like the bamboo plant and the banana plant. These two plants are considered as herbs since they have green stems. All of the plants, trees, shrubs, and herbs, all of them have special needs. They all need sunlight, they all need air, they need water, and also they need minerals to grow healthy. When we provide the plants with these needs, when we care for the plants and give them what they need, we classify plants as cultivated. So cultivated plants need our help. They get their needs with the help of people. While wild plants grow in the wild without man's care, they get all of their needs from their environment. Please look at this figure. This figure shows the oleander plant. This plant has a medium size, and as you can see, it has many woody stems. And this plant is perennial also. So, what do you think? What's the type of this plant? Is it a tree, a shrub, or a herb? It's a shrub. Perfect. So this plant is considered as a shrub. But it is also classified as a flowering plant. If you look at the picture, you will see flowers. This plant makes flowers. This plant blooms. So plants that bloom are plants that grow flowers. The oleander plant is also classified as a flowering plant. Other plants like fern plants or the pine trees, they do not make flowers at all. They don't have flowers. They do not grow flowers. They don't bloom. So we consider them as non-flowering plants. So I think you know now. What are we going to learn about today? Yes, flowering plants. Flowering plants are plants that bloom and make flowers. And flowers have different shapes, different colors, different smells. But the flower has a very important job in the plant's life. Flowers help the plant to reproduce and make babies. What are the plant's babies? Do they make babies like us? No. The babies of the plants are the seeds. So, how do flowers do this? How do flowers help plant to reproduce and make their babies, which are the seeds? So we can really understand the job of the flower in the plant's reproduction and how do flowers help flowering plants to make seeds, since, as I said before, flowering plants make babies in the flowers. So it is the flower that holds the baby. So to do this and to understand better the job of the flower, we should look closer to the flower parts. Okay, I'm going to use this beautiful flower, which is the hibiscus flower, and we're going to name together its parts. You can clearly see some parts of the flower. The hibiscus flower has beautiful petals. So the colorful part of the flower, and this part comes in different colors, different shapes, different smells. This part is called the petals. These are the petals of the flower. Please take a look on the green part that you can see in the screen. The green part, it looks like a leaf, but it's not. This part is called the sepals. Okay, so the petals is the colorful part of the flower. The sepals are the small leaves that comes under the flower and that are green. Petals are colorful. They have different colors. They have beautiful smells to attract butterflies and bees to the flower. Sepals are green. They look like leaves, and their job is to protect the flower when the flower is still young and small. Let's move now inside the flower. As I said, the colorful parts of the flower are the petals. Great. So these are the petals. Right. What about this part? What is it? So again, this is a petal, 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 and petal. And in this figure, we can see the sepals too. The sepals again look like leaves and they protect the flower when it's still young and small, when it's a bud. Okay, now we're going to talk about these parts. So, this part is called the carpel or the pistil, and actually it's the girl in the flower. It's the female part in the flower. As you know, to bring babies, a man must marry a woman, right? So a male must meet a female. When the male and the female get married, they can bring babies. That's exactly what happened in the flower's life. We need a girl, but also we need a boy. We're talking now about the girl. The girl in the flower is called the carpel. The female part is called the carpel. This carpel is made of 3 different parts: the stigma, the style, this line is the style, and the ovary. So again, this part, this line with like a small belly inside, down. This part is the carpel or pistil, and it's the girl, it's the female part. It is composed of 3 parts: stigma, style, ovary. Stigma, style, ovary. Repeat with me. Stigma, style, and ovary. So the girl is called carpel or pistil. And the girl is made of 3 parts: stigma, style, ovary. Stigma, style, ovary. Inside the belly of the girl, inside the ovary, which is the fat part, this part, let me circle it for you. This fat part, this part hides the ovules. This part will hold the babies later on. Okay, in this part the seeds will be formed. What about the boy? So, the boy is called the stamen. The boy is the stamen, and the stamen has two parts. It's the boy, it's the male part, and it is made of two parts. These lines, there are lots of male parts in here, lots of stamens. These parts, these lines, are the filaments. These parts are the filaments, okay? Stamens have yellow head. They have yellow heads. These heads are called the anthers, okay? So again, the stamen is the male part. The male part is composed of two parts, filament and anther. The anther is usually yellow since it has pollen in it. It has pollen, the yellow powder, a yellow powder. And this powder is very, very important. So what I need you to do now, remember that the anther of the boy, the head of the boy, the anther of the stamen holds pollen grains. It holds this yellow powder. Let's repeat all the parts together. What do we call the colorful parts of the flowers? Petals. Excellent. What do we call the leaf-like structures that protect the flower when it's a bud? The green parts down. What do we call them? We call them sepals. Excellent. So petals and sepals. Petals and sepals. What about the carpel? The carpel is pink, so it's the girl. The female part is made of three different parts. The stigma, which is the head. The style, which is the body. And the ovary, which is the belly, the fat part down under the sepals. We cannot see it right now. So the carpel, the female part, is composed of a stigma, a style, and an ovary. Stigma, style, ovary. What about the boys? We have here one carpel. What about the boys? We have lots of stamens, right? The stamens, which are the male parts, the boys, they are made of two parts. The anther, which is their head, the yellow head of the boy that makes pollen, and the filament, which is the body. Okay? So four different parts, four parts: petals, sepals, carpel, stamen. Petals, sepals, carpel, stamen. The carpel or the pistil, which is the female part, which is the girl, has three parts: stigma, style, ovary. Stigma, style, ovary. Try to say them with me. Stigma, style, ovary. Stigma, style, ovary. The boy, which is the stamen, has two parts: anther and filament. Anther and filament. Why are we memorizing this? Why do we need to know the different parts of the flowers? Didn't we say that the boy makes pollen? It makes this yellow powder. When the pollen moves from the anther, I will circle it for you. When the pollen moves from the anther, from the boy, and it goes to the girl. So this is the girl. This is the whole body of the girl. When the pollen moves from the boy, from the anther to the stigma right here, and it goes down in the style to the ovules, when the pollen meet the ovules, we will have seeds. We will have seeds. Okay? What do we call this process? What do we call when pollen flies from the anther to the pistil? From the anther to the pistil, we call it pollination. So pollination is when the pollen flies from the anther to the ovules. When the pollen, again, like I said, when the pollen meets the ovule, we will have a seed. The baby plant is here. How does pollination happen? Who takes the pollen from the anther to the stigma, to the style? Sometimes it's uh, by insects, so butterflies, bees, when they fly from one place to another, they move the pollen grains. Take a look on the bee's body. The bee's body is full of pollen grains. This pollen is so important. When the bee moves it from the stigma, from the anther to the stigma, when the bee flies from here to here, it takes the pollen with it. Okay? Then the pollen goes down in the style and meets the ovules. When pollen meets the ovules, we will have a baby plant. So, what do you need to know? You need to know how to explain the words flowering plants and pollination. What's a flowering plant, guys? Yes, a flowering plant is a plant that makes flowers. And since this plant has flowers, it means that this plant can make babies. This plant makes seeds. So, flowering plants are plants that make seeds in flowers. What about pollination? Pollination. Pollination comes from the word pollen. So, it's when the pollen flies or goes from the anther to the pistil or to the stigma. So pollination is when the pollen is taken from the anther to the stigma. What are the basic parts of a flower? What are different parts of a flower? Like I told you, four different parts. Petals, which are the colorful parts. Sepals, leaf-like parts. Carpel, which is the girl, the female part with three different organs, stigma, style, ovary. The stamen, which is the boy with two parts, anther and filament. What is the job of each of these parts? Let's see. Petals, they are very colorful. They have beautiful colors, they have beautiful smells, so they attract butterflies. Butterflies love come to them. They come for their bright colors, and also bees and other insects. Sepals, they protect the flower when it's small, when it's young, when it's a bud. Carpel, it's the girl. The girl has the ovules. It has these small eggs inside its belly, inside the fat part, the ovary. Okay? So the girl will be holding the seeds, will be holding the babies. Stamen, which is the male part, the boy. The head of the boy, the anther, makes the pollen. The pollen must go from the male to the female. This yellow powder must move from the male to the girl. When it flies or when the bees take it from the anther to the stigma, it will go down to the ovules. When pollen meets ovule, we will have a baby plant. And that's it. Thank you for watching me. If you still have any questions about the lesson, feel free to talk to me. I love you. Bye bye.